Welcome back again to Rinka's Kitchen. I have another family favorite recipe, and it's called Hungarian walnut cake, DIOS torta. So for the cake batter, you will need 4 egg yolks, 4 egg whites, 10 teaspoons of water, 2 cups of pre-sifted flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 cup of ground walnuts, 1.5 cups of sugar, and for the cream filling, you'll need 1/2 cup of butter, 1/2 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of ground walnuts, 1 teaspoon of warmed milk. So I'm going to start with the cake batter. So I'm going to start blending in the flour, baking powder, and walnuts into a large mixing bowl. So I've already measured it. It's got this bowl has 2 cups of pre-sifted flour. So I'm going to add the baking powder, and it's 2 teaspoons. And I'm just going to blend together the baking powder with the sifted flour. And then I'm going to take my 1 cup of ground walnuts. Now you can use pecans if you want to, ground pecans if you want to, if you prefer to use ground pecans. So I'm going to make sure to stir that together. And this is a very common recipe that my mom would make she'd bake it for special occasions, especially on my dad's birthday, because my dad really likes the walnut cake. So she'd bake it for birthday cake. And of course my grandmother would bake this cake on special occasions also. So what I've got set aside, and I've already done that with the hand electric beater, and I've put together some ingredients that I'm going to show you what they are. So in one bowl I've got egg yolks, and in this other bowl I have some egg whites. So what I did in a medium-sized bowl, I beat the 4 egg yolks, 10 teaspoons of water, and sugar until it's frothy in texture. So this is what I've done with the egg yolks. And so I'm going to add all of these ingredients into the flour and the walnuts and baking powder. So I'm going to add this, and it should be nice and frothy, as you can see as I'm pouring it in there. And I've used raw cane, sort of a sugar. It's brown in color, so it's going to have a different color than the white flour. This is more a cane sugar that I use for baking. I like it. It's got a better kind of a good taste to it when you're cooking with it or baking with it. So that's the egg yolk, and the sugar, and the 10 teaspoons of water. And then I've got, so I'm going to mix this into the flour and the walnuts and the baking powder. It's a beautiful recipe it's very tasty. Then I'm going to be making the cream filling for it. Now the moisture comes from the egg yolks and the egg whites. And then I'm going to put in the egg whites in there. I'm going to stir that around. Combine it all together. And what I've done is I've preheated the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So I will bake that at 40 to 50 minutes. And I'm going to be checking with that toothpick to see if the cake has been baked. So if the toothpick comes out clean, then you know it's baked. And you would test for the center of the cake. Now it seems like a heavy dough. It's not like a runny dough. So it is kind of like a dense cake. It'll have more weight to it. And then pretty much that's all there is to this cake. It's really quite a simple. It's a quick cake. You want to do a quick bake a quick cake for you're expecting some company. This is a super cake for to prepare. You've got unexpected company. You can put this together if you have these items in your pantry. Like I've always got pecans and I've always got walnuts in my pantry, and so things like that I could put make muffins with, or cake. So now that I've got that all mixed together, I've got a pan that's been I've used butter to butter the pan, but then I added I dusted it with a little bit of flour, so it'll be easier for it to come out. So I'm going to take this cake batter and I'm going to put it into the pan. And when the cake is ready, I'm going to cut it in half, right in the center, and I'm going to have a top and bottom to the cake, and then I'm going to add it to add the cream in the inside of the cake. I'm just going to spread this around a bit here. And it sounds like my oven is ready for me to put my cake in there. I'm just going to leave it in there for put my timer on to about probably 40 minutes or so. 40-45 minutes, and then I'm going to test it. Now it should rise. It looks like it's a little bit flat right now, but it's got the baking powder in it. It's got 2 teaspoons of baking powder in it. And it'll be ready to serve it with coffee or tea, your favorite coffee or tea. I'm going to take some over to my parents tomorrow. I'm going to be visiting them tomorrow and sharing some of this cake with them. They know I'm doing this video right at the moment, so I've been preparing it, getting the ingredients ready. So that should be ready to go into the oven. In there, and it will be ready to be taken out in about 40 to 50 minutes. So I'm going to check it around 40 minutes to see whether it's ready or not. So I'll be back to show you what this great recipe looks like when it's baked. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all let the cake cool when it comes out of the oven, and I'm going to cut the cake in half, and then I'm going to show you how to make the cream filling for it, which is the butter, sugar, and there's a 1/4 cup of ground walnuts and warm milk, and then powdered icing sugar. So that's going to be all blended together. I'm going to use a electric beater, hand beater, to put that cream filling together. So I'll be back probably in about another 50 minutes or so. So see you then. Welcome back again to Arinka's Kitchen. I have a family favorite recipe that I've been preparing. It's called Hungarian walnut cake. It's DIOS Torta. And so I put together the cake batter and I prepared the cream filling. Now the cream filling has a half a cup of butter, half a cup of sugar, a quarter cup of ground walnuts, a teaspoon of warmed milk, lukewarm temperature, and 1 teaspoon of powdered icing sugar. So I've got this prepared in a bowl here, and this is what's going to go into the filling of this cake. Now this is what the cake looks like. I've already cut it in half, and I've decided to make a low type of cake, not high leveled cake. So this is just sort of almost like a tort, in a way, tort type of cake. You can make it so that it's higher. You can use a different cake pan. I've used this one. So it's this size, but you can use smaller, two smaller sizes, and you can make three layers if you wanted to. But I've chose, this is the bottom, so I've cut this in half, as you can see. That's the bottom half, and then I've got the top half. And that will go on top once I've put the filling in. So I'm just going to put that into the middle like that, a dollop like that. And then I'm going to take a spatula and I'm just going to spread it evenly onto the bottom half of the okay. And then I'll just take this knife and then just spread it as far as I can into the middle of this, the bottom half of it. As you can see the walnuts. Spread it as evenly as you can on the bottom. Now, like I was saying, this was a family favorite recipe that my grandmother prepared. She baked this for our children at special occasions like Christmas or birthdays. I've got another recipe that's a chocolate recipe that's on my website that you can check out also. So I'll be making many more types of pastries in the coming weeks. I may be making some biscuits, bacon biscuits, tepertiusz pogača, and then I'm going to take the top part and I'm going to put it on the top, and I've already dusted it with some icing sugar, powdered icing sugar. So, and that's how I would serve it, and I cut it into slivers, you know, as thick as you want it to. And then I'm going to put this on a cake plate, like that. You've got a nice cake plate, and then of course I've got my special little cake cutter, so for presentation. So that's what the Hungarian walnut cake looks like, DIOS Torta. And you can see that it's been cut in half, and then I've put the filling inside of there, and then I've dusted some 1 teaspoon of powdered icing sugar on top of that. And you can serve it with your favorite coffee or tea. And so if you have any questions or comments regarding this recipe, please contact me at irene@arinkaskitchen.com or arinkaskitchen.com. So my email and my website address, and you can make a copy of the recipe also. So I hope that you enjoy serving it to your family and friends again, and Bon appetit, jó étvágyat. If you would like, you could subscribe to my website, and there will be many more upcoming videos of my grandmother's recipes. My aunt sent a lot of recipes through the mail. She wrote them down in a sort of a notebook, and so now I'm kind of like translating them into English. And so they're no-fail recipes for sure. So we had to kind of calculate the decograms into cups, and so that will help you to be able to measure things out. So until next time, we'll see you again, and I hope that you come and visit my website again.